Hey folks, this is my MacBook Pro and this is my baby. It's got the M1 Pro chip in it, 16 gig of RAM and a 2TB hard drive. And it's the MacBook Pro that has helped me build this channel and that I've made a lot of content on, and I love this thing to bits. It's never let me down, the performance has been great, but to be honest with you, it's been a little bit heavy to lug around and I've been tempted by the MacBook Air for a while. But because this MacBook Pro has never let me down, I've seen no reason to upgrade. And the Apple M series chips right now are so good that you really don't need to upgrade. To be fair, this MacBook Pro can still hold its own in any fight with any other Mac right now. However, now that Apple's released the MacBook Air M4, I was tempted and I couldn't help myself. I decided, let me try out that new MacBook M4 Air and see if it could replace my MacBook Pro. So I have a deep history with the MacBook Air. In fact, my first ever Mac was the MacBook Air. The MacBook Air that came out in 2008 that Steve Jobs legendarily removed from an envelope on his keynote. I love that MacBook so much that I still have it. This is the Generation 1 MacBook Air. And at the time it was released, it was the thinnest laptop that money could buy. And to this day, Apple is still making some of the thinnest laptops that money can buy. But they are supercharging them with their M chips right now, and they just can't be touched. So all these years later, after having my MacBook Generation 1, I decided to go for the latest generation, which is this, the MacBook M4. And it is a beast. So rather than going through all the stats and figures and facts of the MacBook M4 with you, I'm sure you've seen a bunch of reviews who've done that already, or you could just go on the website and read the stats for yourself. What I wanted to talk to you about was why I thought it was finally time to let go of my MacBook Pro and move to the MacBook Air as a product. Now, as you may have heard, the MacBook Air hasn't really changed much from the previous generation. But the one thing that has changed is the fact that it's gone down in price. And funny enough, if you watch most of the reviews out there on YouTube right now, that's pretty much the biggest feature that everyone's going on about, the reduction in price. But don't forget, it's not just the price that's reduced. The fact that Apple have actually increased some of the spec as well, starting now at 16 gigs of RAM, that just helps with the whole value proposition. And with that in mind, Apple have now brought to market one of the best value MacBook products for a long time. So the real question was, could the MacBook Air actually replace my MacBook Pro? Well, this really comes down to how you use these devices. For me personally, my MacBook Pro was my primary and only computer. It was the device that I would use at home and it was the device that I would use on the road. So it had to have different forms and functions that would work for me. For example, when I'm at home, I'd have the MacBook Pro in a closed clamshell mode connected to my Apple Studio display, and it would be my desktop machine. And if I ever wanted the extra display, I'd open it up from clamshell mode and use it in an open position, therefore having my studio display and my MacBook Pro as well. Now interestingly, this is where the MacBook M4 has kicked up a gear, now supporting two screens at the same time in clamshell mode and even with clamshell mode open. That was something that wasn't possible in the previous M generation MacBook Airs. So this is an interesting development to me because this would come into play when I wanted to use my MacBook Air as a desktop machine as well. So when I first bought my MacBook Pro, there were darker times. It was the midst of the pandemic and we were working from home every day. So I needed a device that was rock solid day in and day out, and the MacBook Pro was totally that. And as well as serving me through the day for my day job, obviously in the evenings I would use it for my recreational use as well as developing this YouTube channel. Now one of the key features for me during that time was the camera on the device as well, as video calls had become a norm for me in my workplace and other workplaces too. And now the MacBook Air has also stepped up with the 12 megapixel camera built into it too, which is great for anybody who needs to use that video camera on a day-to-day basis. Now this upgrade in the camera has unlocked new features of the MacBook Air, like center stage, which allows you to stay in frame whether you move around in a shot or whether you have other people join the shot with you. And even desk view, where you can use the camera to give you a top-down view of the space in front of you, which could come in handy for things like unboxings or tutorials. So between the MacBook Pro and the MacBook Air, I've now dropped a tiny bit in the screen size, from the 14-inch to the 13-inch. Now this isn't a big problem for me, and if it means that the laptop's a bit smaller and easier to carry around, I'm okay to take that sacrifice. However, one thing I must say that the MacBook Pro had hands down over this one was its screen. The MacBook Pro screen was phenomenal. It was one of the best screens I've ever experienced, and made video editing and other things such a joy to do, especially with the brightness outdoors. Now the MacBook Air still has a great screen with its liquid retina display, but when comparing the two models, I got to give this one to the MacBook Pro. It had a far superior display. And that's not had a detrimental effect on me. I haven't found that to be a problem when editing or watching content on the MacBook Air, but it's just something worth noting. Also worth noting is the fact that the MacBook Air has less speakers than the MacBook Pro. Now my 14-inch MacBook Pro had 6 built-in speakers and it sounded great from lows, highs to mids. However, the MacBook Air in the 13-inch size only has 4 speakers. Now they still sound great, they're loud, they just don't have great mids and lows in my opinion. And to be honest with you, I use my AirPods and headphones and I'm using my MacBook anyway. Now one thing I must admit I'm missing is the extra I/O ports with the MacBook Pro. Now it had 3 USB-C ports, it had an SD card slot and an HDMI port as well as a headphone jack. Now the MacBook Air on the other hand only has the 2 USB ports and a headphone jack. So that's a lot of I/O missing compared to my previous device. And that really is where the Pro device comes into its own. Having all those extra ports is, in my opinion, one of the things that makes it a Pro device. Now the SD card slot, that's the killer for me. Not being able to plug in an SD card to my laptop straight from my camera is a bit of a disadvantage for me, but it's a sacrifice I have to make for that slimmer, lighter device. And it's not a big deal having to plug in a dongle every now and then. But one thing that is on both devices is MagSafe, and I'm ecstatic about that. MagSafe is a great feature that Apple let go for a little while and then brought back, and anybody who experiences it knows how cool it is. Now my last MacBook Pro, because it was at my desk most times, I didn't really use the MagSafe so much because it was constantly being charged. However, this MacBook Air is about to hit the road with me on a day-to-day basis. It won't be sitting on my desktop at all times charging, it's going to be on the go, and I will be using that MagSafe charger. And what a lovely charger it is as well, with a braided cable. Now one thing I didn't talk about that everybody else talked about in the first 5 sentences of their MacBook Air reviews is the color. I've gone for the silver color. Now a lot of people would be experimenting with the new sky blue color. Obviously the sky blue color is something quite unique to this latest generation of MacBook Air. However, it wasn't for me. I wanted to stay with my silver. I like the synergy between my studio display and other devices, and I just wanted to keep that clean, classy silver look. I think it's a classic look for Macs. But one thing worth noting though is that if you do get the sky blue color, you get a sky blue braided cable as well, which is a nice touch. Now as I mentioned, this device is something I'm planning to carry every single day now. Along with being slick and light, I need to know that this device is going to last in a day-to-day hustle. And with this 18 hours battery life, that's more than enough to get me through every single day, which is great because you want this MacBook to be ready to go every time you open the lid. Things have changed for me and I need to be commuting on the city, traveling on the London Underground every single day or walking, and I want that lighter, slicker, slimmer device, and this is one slick device. Trust me, it's light, it's lovely to carry, it's great on the lap, and it's great on the go. And most importantly, it now has the power that I need. Now I don't need a lot of power to do my day-to-day working stuff. Most of the things I do is on virtual machines or via the regular kind of Microsoft suite for my day-to-day work. However, if we're going to start looking at the creative stuff, obviously I need a little bit more power, and the M4 chip is great for that. Now when coming to spec up your MacBook Air, there's only 3 options that you're going to be looking at. Me personally, I went for the 10-core CPU, 10-core GPU with 16GB unified memory and a 512GB SSD. However, my recommendation for most people who are just looking for this as their daily laptop and not doing anything too intensive on it, I would just stick with the 10-core CPU and 8-core GPU and the base model with a 256GB SSD. I think it's more than powerful enough for most tasks, and if you've got an external SSD, you can make up for the SSD issue there. And honestly, the M4 chip is fantastic. It's powerful, it will get you through most of the jobs you want to do, even if you are pushing the Mac a little bit further than normal. Now, I've been watching a lot of MacBook Air review videos myself, and one of the things I noticed is that everybody's been comparing this to the last generation MacBook Air M3. And to be honest with you, that makes a lot of sense. That was the last generation, is the one they're comparing it to. But if you follow Apple enough, you know that the generations of devices don't jump that much. Only every now and then do you see a significant design or spec jump. And really and truly, the big story of this one has been the sky blue color, as I mentioned earlier, and the fact that the price has gone down and the spec has slightly gone up. However, what I thought would be really interesting, and considering I still have my Generation 1 MacBook Air, is to actually look how far the MacBook Air has come along itself. Now, if you look at this MacBook Air, it was a very special device. As I mentioned earlier, it had its iconic reveal by Steve Jobs himself, and it kicked off the Ultrabook race with every other laptop provider trying to make a thin and cool laptop to compete with this. At the time, it did take the title of the thinnest laptop ever. The slick design, the look and the feel of this thing, it was beautiful. With this iconic light up Apple logo on the back and minimalistic look all around. In fact, if you looked around it, you'd see nothing. The MagSafe port was subtle and underneath the device, and on the side you'd have this little drop down compartment that would have the headphone jack, a USB-A 2.0 drive, and a DVI video connector. The original MacBook Air had this tapered design which made you really feel the thinness of it on one end, where it was a little bit thicker on the other side, a bit of a wedge design, and that was a design language that carried on for generations after. Only recently did we start to see this totally flat and slim design that we see today in the MacBook Air M4 and the M devices. And one of the ways this MacBook Air has stayed so slim is by the fact that it has no fans. The fanless design is quite unique with these devices and something to consider. If you're going to push this machine hard, you're going to start throttling that CPU. Yes, the MacBook Air will get hot, but it handles this cooling really well, and it's amazing to think that this thing doesn't need fans. For me, this is a really special thing to come full circle back with a device that I love so much. I have had a MacBook Air in recent times and I bought one for my wife, but that wasn't mine to play with, that was hers. And does anybody remember the MacBook? I had one of those too. They were small, slick and simple, and a really great way of getting into the MacBook family as well. But now, back with my MacBook Air, I couldn't be happier. It's everything I wanted it to be. It's powerful, got a battery life that lasts, and most importantly, it's light and it fits into my bag really easily along with my iPad, not adding too much weight. I'm able to work on it during the day. I'm able to do my video creation on it as well. And it's just an easy thing to have around at any time. It's a real pleasure to use, and I'd recommend it to anybody who's looking for a laptop right now. In fact, if you're new to the Apple ecosystem, it's a great way to get started, just like I did when I first got my first MacBook Air. It's a great way to experience macOS, and it's a great way to get into the ecosystem, combining iPhones and tablets and watches. And I'm warning you, once you get started, you're stuck. You're gonna get sucked in. It's really easy to go all in with the Apple cult. Now, as I carry on using this device, I'll let you know how I get on with it. And I'm gonna be saying goodbye to my MacBook Pro. In fact, I was able to trade it in for this MacBook Air directly with Apple. They're doing a little bit extra in trade-ins right now. And another testament to how great this MacBook Pro is, it actually held quite a lot of value. And I was able to get quite a lot of money off this MacBook Air, which is also part of the incentive of swapping up right now. So this MacBook Pro is finally going. I'm gonna miss it. It was a fantastic device. I'm sure it's not the last time I'm gonna own a MacBook Pro, but for now, I'm all in with the MacBook Air. I think this is a device for me. I'm gonna keep you posted on how I get on with it over the next couple of months. And if there's anything new or anything I need to fill you in on about it, I'll fill you in, don't worry. This might not be my last Mac purchase for now. I'm a little bit tempted for a Mac Mini. I've been tempted since the day it came out, and it's definitely turned my eye right now. So I'm looking into a Mac Mini as well. This is all part of a little bit of a refresh I'm doing with my devices right now, trying to find the right fit for me. If the MacBook Air was the only device I had, it would be great. Like I said, it works as a desktop and as a laptop, but me personally, I still want to have a desktop in my life as well. So as I said, I'm definitely in the market for a Mac Mini. If I get one of those too, I'll be letting you know about it. So if you're in the market for a Mac right now, tell me what you're buying. If you bought a MacBook Air, tell me about it too. I'd like to hear your experience with the MacBook Air. If you've had a MacBook Air before or a MacBook Pro and you're on the fence about changing, drop some comments, drop some questions. I'll be happy to engage with you and let you know what I think. So until next time, take care of yourself. See ya. Peace.